Let's talk about Morgan today. I want to make sure that everybody understands just how good and useful she is. I think there's a tendency to think that because the game gives you her early on, that she's not going to be amazing, but she's amazing. So I made the mistake of kind of putting her on the back burner for a little bit and focusing on some other legendaries that I'd pulled, and that was not a good idea. So let's talk about why I think you should invest in her as soon as you get her. We'll talk about how to build her, and there's a couple of things to keep in mind with her that we'll talk about once we get into an actual battle and I can show you some stuff. But I use her almost everywhere. I don't use her in Gorgos, but I don't think there's anywhere else I don't use her. She's fantastic, man. One of her big things is this Squall of Thorns right here. When using a skill, inflicts defense decrease 2 and damage taken increase 3 for 1 turn. So if you play Raid, that's like a defense down weaken combo, basically. And if you skill it up, the passive cooldown time gets reduced, which is huge. And then if you get another skill up in it, it goes up for 2 turns, which is gonna be such a game changer. That's gonna be such a difference maker. So skill ups in her are also pretty important. Her other skills, she's got the turn meter reduction on the A2 here, as well as buff strip, which I feel like kind of gets overlooked. The buff strip is pretty huge from the target. That's an important thing to remember. And then when attacking while current HP is 50% or lower, she changes the weather to night. She gains effect accuracy increase 3 for the rest of the battle as long as it's night, and attack speed increase 3 as long as it's night. So she really does well when it's nighttime, and if she's in danger, she'll change it to night, okay? You get a skill up, she can do it an extra time in the battle, but it does then get an 8-turn cooldown, all right? As far as relics, you're gonna start with her fire relic. She's got a sleep on the A1 that says 40%. Feels pretty reliable to me. It feels like at least a coin flip, but you might have a different experience with it. 40% is 40%, so here we've got attacks all enemies 3 times, total damage, 72% of her attack, 50% chance to decrease the target's attack gauge by 10% with every attack. But also remember, she's got this, when using skill 2, reduces target's attack gauge by 35%. And that's why it's incredibly important that you understand how necessary—
Don't move.
Me don't move or you don't move?
I think we could both move, actually. My bad.
Okay. Who are you?
I'm you, from the future.
Like how far in the future?
I don't know, a couple days.
I'm still wearing the same shirt in a couple days?
Yeah, you do laundry, motherfucker.
Okay, why are you here? What is this? Also, I invent a time machine in a couple of days?
Yeah, but that's not the important part.
Kinda seems like the important part.
No, dude, look. They're going to make you drink giraffe piss.
What?
Yeah.
Who is they?
Can you please just focus on the important parts?
I guess you mean the giraffe piss. Okay, so why are you telling me?
Because you can stop it.
How?
Okay, well, I guess technically you can't stop it.
I'm about to kick my own ass. Tell me what to do.
It's the viewers, man. The viewers can stop it.
The viewers?
You need supporters. You need to tell your viewers to click the link in the description and then click the support button to support you.
And then they won't make me drink giraffe piss?
Now you're getting it.
Okay, how do I tell them?
That's the thing. They already know.
How?
Dude, I'm from the fucking future. Can you just trust me?
Okay.
Alright, well, I gotta get back. I got a flight to space to catch.
A flight to space? You said you're from a couple of days in the future. Damn, I get real annoying in a couple of days. So extra turn meter knockback there. And then the A3 is a pretty strong hit if you built her for damage. 178% is a pretty good multiplier, honestly. I don't have her built for damage, and even so, it's still a pretty good hit. But if you wanted to, you could probably make this hit pretty hard. Beyond that, it's damage taken increase 2 for 2 turns, and a heal block, which can be pretty handy. Now, if you are in need of a heal block, I would highly recommend checking out my video on Accolon, who's got a more reliable heal block that's 2 turns on the A2. If you want more in-depth info about Accolon, I'll card to a video I did recently up there about him. He is fantastic. So I would not focus on Morgan's heal block. I don't really think that's the claim to fame. I think the claim to fame is Squall of Thorns, among some other stuff she's doing, but Squall of Thorns in particular is really, really handy, all right? As far as how we have her geared, I've got her in a Vigor set. I think she's really good for this, and considering that she's going to be a member of a lot of teams, I think it's a good idea to make her the Vigor tank, so to speak. Tank is not the right word there, but the Vigor mule, maybe we'll say. I think she's a really good candidate for it, again, because you're using her in so many places. I think if you've got somebody that's a little bit more niche, a little bit harder to justify putting them in a Vigor set right now until you're later in the game and you have a lot more sets. I think earlier on you need to be kind of mindful of where you're putting them, and I think Morgan is among the better options for them. I don't think there's too many other champs that you're going to get early on that you're going to be using everywhere, that you're not going to want to be focusing on something else. Like, I also use Kay almost everywhere, but I want the damage on her more than I want what a Vigor set would do. So I think Morgan is a fantastic candidate for that. Otherwise, you can go a few different ways, right? You can go the tanky route. Make sure you get some effect accuracy on her so that when you start to progress, she doesn't start missing her debuffs, because you don't want that to happen. If you wanted to play around with the damage, I kind of tried to do that early on and didn't feel like I had a lot of success with it. But again, my gear was very limited, so perhaps now if I wanted to transfer her into some damage gear, maybe I would notice her hitting a little bit harder. But honestly, I prefer to keep her alive and have her doing all the things that she does, rather than trying to get my damage out of her. I'd rather her set everyone else up to do the damage. So I've gone with a Vigor set. We have flat defense. We're still working on filling the slots appropriately. Defense percentage there and attack speed. I like attack speed on the ring. I think attack speed on her is going to be nice. So if you don't go Vigor set, I'd probably recommend a speed set as well for the 4-piece. And attack speed on the ring, I think, is the way to go. And then here, best case scenario, I'd probably have HP percentage. I don't have it right now, but I'd probably look to get HP percentage here. And then I would also be looking for effect accuracy wherever I could get it. Down here, we've got some evasion, which I don't think is ever a bad idea, to be honest. And then here we've got some flat HP. So you see, not ideal. We're still working on getting the ideal gear on everybody. But basically for her, I'm looking for speed, survivability, and effect accuracy. If you wanted to pivot and try damage, you could give that a shot. But those are my thoughts on gearing her. So, maybe later when she's fully maxed, we'll talk a little bit more about, her ideal build. As far as her Fire Relic goes for skill ups, I don't personally feel very inclined to give her any skill ups on her Fire Relic for right now. Skill ups are hard to come by in this game, and I feel like I have better places to put them. And for what I'm doing with her, she's not getting much out of it. I don't care if she does more damage. 10% extra sleep rate would be nice, and number of sleep turns would be fantastic. 2 turns is a long time to sleep somebody. But again, Akalon has a sleep on the A3, and you can get that to 2 turns with a skill up as well. So Akalon can also kind of do that. So while that would be awesome, you can't choose where they go. So you may have to fully skill up everything else to get that. For the A2, she becomes more likely to knock back turn meter, which again would be nice. I'm not saying that this would not be nice, but I do think that especially while you're progressing, you got to be careful about where you put your skill ups. So if you could guarantee you could hit that first one and get this up to a 60% chance, that'd be huge. But I don't know if it will work out like that. And then the A3, again, it's okay. I just don't know if I feel like it's a priority for me personally. If you feel like this stuff matters more for you, you can go for it. I'm not worrying about it right now. I have other fire champs that I would rather skill up right now. Like Sigrun, I feel like I'm going to get more out of when I add more damage to her. With some of the stuff that I'm doing with her, I feel like she's going to get more out of the fire skill ups than Morgan would. That being said, I don't think that they're bad. I don't think it's a bad idea to do it. I just want to make sure that I emphasize how mindful you need to be of how difficult skill ups are to come by until you're in the late game. So just be real sure. Be real sure that this stuff matters enough to you to skill her up. Right now, it doesn't matter enough to me to do it. Maybe you've got her further developed than I do and you have her skilled up and it's life-changing. And if that's the case, let me know in the comments because maybe I'll reconsider my stance on it. But for now, that's kind of where I'm at with her. So that's a quick look at her and her gear and my thoughts on her. Let's jump in and do a couple of things with her. There's one thing in particular that I feel like I want to show you that I think is important. So we can jump in Maybe like Forbidden Dungeon. Oh, I'm out of cards though. We'll just do Pin Beat then. Let's do a lower stage just for the sake of showing you what I want to show you. I'm out of energy. Let's do that. Okay. So, the big thing to be mindful of with her is, you know, you can double click a skill to use it, right? So like, just for the sake of it, you could double click a skill and they'll just use the skill. So you're typically inclined, especially on an AoE, to just do that. If it's a single target and you're manually playing, you tend to kind of want to go after who you want to go after. But like K's A3, I don't ever target anybody. I just double click it because it's an AoE, right? The thing with Morgan, if you are manually doing it, like maybe you're doing Forbidden Dungeon and the stages are getting difficult enough that you're manualing, or whatever it is you may be manualing. The thing about Morgan's A2, Squall of Thorns does not work AoE. In my experience, anyway. I've done pretty extensive testing with this to be sure that this is the way that it works. It's only going to work on who she targets. So if you double click this skill, she's going to randomly target somebody, and you might not get the defense down and damage taken increase where you want them. And in somewhere like Forbidden Dungeon, there's some stages where it's almost crucial that you snipe somebody before they get a turn. Like there's a couple stages where the guy puts brainwash on one of your champs for the rest of the fight. And if you can snipe him before he does that, you basically beat the stage for free, right? So if I double click this, she might target the Tusk, and I wouldn't want her to do that right now. So if you're manually using Morgan and you've selected her A2, pick who you want the debuffs to go on. Now, she didn't land him that time, of course, because we're trying to make a point, but what is that? Let's attack down. You ain't doing no damage, homie. Again, in my experience, if I double click it, she'll randomly target somebody. And initially I was thinking it would do it AoE. I thought that was kind of one of the big things, but it won't. So if there's only one enemy, you can just do whatever. I don't know why she's not landing them now. That's kind of aggravating me, but just be mindful of that. Again, I've been paying close attention to this for like a week to see if she's ever landing at AoE, and she's not. And I've also done testing to see like if she's always landing it, if she lands it on the target that I clicked, and she always is. So it seems to be that it matters who you target with this skill. That's where the debuffs would go if that time she decided to land them. So that's just something to be mindful of with Morgan, okay? But real quick is just like a tour of showing you everywhere that I'm using her. Let's see. She's on my Pinveed team. She's not on my Gorgos team. She's on my Frozen Plains team, even though she's off Affinity. She's still incredibly beneficial for us in there. And then what little bit of progress we've managed to make in the Cat Dungeon, she's on that team. She is on every single team that I have beaten, every single stage of Forbidden Dungeon. She's been on that team. She's in my Master of Death team. She's in my Master of Apocalypse team. She's in my campaign team. If I can use her in adventure, I use her in there. In Equipment Dungeon, she's on this team. Oh, wait, is she? No, she's not on this team. Sorry, I saw the fire and was done there. And then I haven't tried to progress here in a while. I've kind of omitted this dungeon for a little bit. So she's not in here, but she might be when I come back and do it. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see. And then this one, I also haven't really bothered trying to progress in much, but she's on that team. So she might stay on that one as well. She's like, again, not Gorgos and not Apocalypse, I think it was. But other than that, I pretty much use her everywhere. Story, Forbidden Dungeon, all of that. I use her in Arena. I use her just about everywhere. So she's a really, really good champ. She's going to be well worth the investment. And again, the only thing I really have any hesitation at all as it pertains to her are her Fire Relic skill ups. I've also heard some people using her other relics and getting a lot of mileage out of those as well, but I don't have them yet. So we're just going to talk about the Fire Relic because that's what I have experience with. But invest in her with a clear conscience. I think you're going to be very pleased with her. And if you did what I did and kind of put her on the back burner because she was the free one at the beginning, bring her back up. Make her a priority because she's going to really, really open up. That Squall of Thorns is such a game changer. This decreased defense and damage taken increase are such, it's going to open up whoever your damage dealer is to do astronomically more damage. It is absolutely the difference maker in many, many fights that I've done. So don't sleep on her. She's really, really good. As I said, in the future, when we get her other relics and maybe we get her gear in a little bit more of an ideal place, we'll do a follow-up on her and explore her other relics and all that stuff and see how she looks in like super late game content. But I think for now, we've made a pretty good case for her. So again, let me know if you've got her and you're using her, what you're doing with her. If you have other relics, how you feel about those. If you feel differently about her fire relic skill ups than I do, I would be very interested to hear all of that and why. So I do hope this was helpful. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next one.